And now I'm gonna do a crucial one for the transmission, and that is replace the axle seals. Might as well do it. You're right here. Saves the pain of doing it when the engines and transmission are in the car. Just do yourself a favor. I guess I gotta use both hands. But here are the part numbers. Clean your surface very, very well. Use a little bit of oil to lubricate the new seal. Here's the old one. Really, really crusty looking. And let me open a new one just so you guys can see the comparison. Just look at the difference. That's about $6. Just go ahead and replace it. So we're gonna go ahead and replace the other axle seal, and here it is. That's the part number, and this is what it looks like. The old one. Remember, when you put in new seals, make sure to lubricate them in some way so that they go in smoothly. So go ahead and do that. So I went ahead and already got it to sit flush on the inside lip, and check this out, guys. I ended up using the old gasket over it, or the old seal, to hammer it in, and just that caused this one to break. Oh, sorry. So the seal is already sitting good, and I used the old seal on top of it, and I was hitting it with the hammer, and look at that. It broke down. So it's really important to use an old seal on top of it while you're hitting it with a hammer. So pro tip, please do that carefully. And now what we're gonna do is, since this is an East Coast transmission, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up the fork, or the throwout bearing fork. So before I connect it to the engine, I'm gonna do this off camera. It's kind of dumb to show, but I'll show you guys afterwards when I'm done. So I already went ahead and cleaned up the output shaft. I think that's what this is technically called. I also cleaned up the fork a bit on the areas where I'm gonna go ahead and put the lube. So clean those up, and we're gonna install a throwout bearing. Really easy to install. I'm gonna show you guys right now. So I lubricated right here, put a little bit of right here on the ball as well. Grease in here. And now it only goes in one way as well, so you can't really mess that up. Now we're gonna put it in. So I'm gonna put this section in first like that. So I can do this with one hand and slide this in here. Make sure that's in there, and there you have it. It's, look at that, cool. It's ready to be bolted up. So I did this off camera, but I already put the engine inside the Matrix. I already installed the starter. You got the two bolts right here and down here. I already installed my clutch slave cylinder, and I already tested the clutch pedal, make sure it works and it's good. So now I'm gonna quickly wire up the engine bay. All I've done was route the harness to the inside of the car, and I'm gonna do one by one. So I'm gonna first start with this harness underneath the intake manifold. We got the one for the starter. Oh, I already wired up the starter right here. So I'm gonna wire up the starter. It's a 12 millimeter, and I'm gonna wire up the plug for it right here, and then the one for the oil pressure. Let's see if I can connect it. Oh. There we go. You heard the click. And then the knock sensor goes right here. All right, so we already got that harness that goes underneath the intake manifold, and I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall the intake manifold so I can start situating everything. But before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and replace the intake manifold gasket. This is the old one, and I have the new one over here. This is the part number for the new one. There it is. Let's go ahead and install it. Bolted up the alternator, and went ahead and installed the bracket as well for it. And now we're gonna go ahead and install this harness on this side of the vehicle. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and install this T bracket right here, or this triangle bracket, which is this one right here. Gonna go ahead and install this real quick. So I got that triangle piece, or yeah, the triangle piece bolted up. I installed this sensor right here. This one as well, the other sensor. Install the alternator one, and install the one for the alternators as well, clip. And then this one's for the crank position sensor. Go ahead and clip that in, clip. And then the one for the AC down here. Let's go ahead and bolt that up, clip that on, I should say. Gonna go ahead and install our coil pack rail. That goes right there and there. And over here's another one, and then we just start plugging these in. And then we have this one for the power steering pump. It goes all the way down there. It just bolts on top of the power steering pump. Really easy to get to from up here. Gonna plug in a few on the side of the engine. We have the one right here. There's one right here. And we have the two grounds that go, I believe, right here and right here. Those are where your grounds typically go. And then this is for the throttle body position sensor, I believe. And then we have another, what is this for? This one's for the throttle body right here in the front. This right here underneath. Should go in, right? There we go. And then we have this one right here for the oil pressure. Then the one for the coolant temp sensor right here. I believe that's what it is. And then we're gonna put our grounds right now. And what is this one for? Is this the reverse trigger? Pretty sure it's the reverse trigger. So let me go ahead and install our reverse trigger right here. That goes right here. Sounds like the helicopter's up there trying to find some bad people. Oh, and then we got one down here. Plug that in. There we go. I think that's everything on the engine, honestly. Just gonna put our two grounds right here, and that's it. Oh, that's really easy. I don't know why people say it's hard. So let me finish up with installing the 2ZZ, and then we might get it to start today. So since the original axles from the Matrix were very rusty and old, and the boots were torn, I ended up buying some brand new axles from O'Reilly's. These are the import direct ones. The one that has the bracket built in on it. You don't have to go get it pressed in. So you can see, brand new right here. So there you have it. I'm gonna go ahead and put this axle in and finish up the job. Nice. So I got the XRS, or the red XRS mid pipe, or yeah, I guess you call it a mid pipe, removed. This is the one from the silver one. This is the one from the red one. It's a bit rusted up and banged up, and it's been re-welded and fixed here and there. And I couldn't unbolt the exhaust manifold from the mid pipe because the back bolt's stripped. You can see that? The weld's broke and I couldn't get it off. So what I ended up doing was I pretty much cut it, and I didn't have the right blades to cut this. So I used an angle grinder, a hammer, and I finally got it out. And you guys saw the previous videos, it was a nightmare. So I kind of want to start the engine today or tonight real quick for like maybe a couple minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and install the mid pipe so it could at least idle right with the O2 sensor, the first one. And the rear one, I'll just leave this connected because I got to take off the carpet to access the area for that. Thank you, birds. Thank you for being loud. But if I put at least the mid pipe, it won't be as stupid loud as if it was open header. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this real quick and I'll catch you guys in a bit. Oh, and if you guys want a tool to remove exhaust manifold hangers, this is a lifesaver. I'll go ahead and put it in the description down below. I might make a video on special tools that I have in the future, but this right here, lifesaver. Stop using a flathead screwdriver to take off those exhaust hangers. Use this tool, it is amazing. So since I can't take off the gasket or the donut that's right here, I had to buy a new one, and this is a very expensive one. It's running about $60 to $60-ish for an OEM one from Toyota. But I had this one in stock in my parts pile. This was probably from Joseph Celica. Thank you, Joseph. If you ever need one, I'll make sure to rebuy you one. But I'm gonna go ahead and use it on this. And just like that, I already bolted the exhaust manifold to the mid pipe with the new gasket and some new bolts, I guess, with the springs. All new, man, all new. So the new owner can be happy with this car. Don't want any issues with it. So I went ahead and installed the two 14mm bolts that go on the axle bracket. And it's in the transmission. So let's go ahead and put the axle into the knuckle. A little rusty there, oxidized and dirty, but we're gonna clean it up and restore it. Just gotta make sure this car is good. So just before I put the car back down on its tires and wheels, I just wanted to point out that I freshened up the whole braking system. I installed new rotors, painted them a little bit of black. Yeah, I got a little bit of it on the rotor pad itself, but I'll make sure to clean it up right now with some brake clean. And I'm just letting the paint dry a little bit before I tackle it with some brake clean on the overspray. Got some new pads installed. Got these Centrics. I've used these in the past. That's the part number for it. And the rotors, the previous owner had provided them. They're from Napa, just some generic rotors, nothing special. So just wanted to liven up the, or I guess refreshing the brakes, I should say. And I already let the Matrix do its thing. It bled its cooling system. Right now it only has distilled water. And you're gonna drive it a little bit, make sure there's no leaks, nothing in the system. Got to put a battery tie down, and then we're gonna go take it on a road test. And to me, it sounds good. It sounds healthy. I already tested first, second, third gear, and it does move on under its own power. And just gonna go ahead and put the wheel back on and get it out of the backyard and into the streets. So let's go ahead and do that. So I just connected the rear O2 sensor. Car seems to be running fine, and we're gonna go on its first road test. Man. All right, let's see if lift engages properly. Haven't hit lift with this engine, never. Since I pulled it out of the silver Matrix, all I heard was start. That's it. Let's pray that we hit lift. All right, we're on our first straightaway. Baby, it's all done. She's running good. No check engine light. It's all good. Goes into gear, hits lift. Bought another little awesome tool, filling up the tires before I go to work. No check engine light, but we gotta set the monitors for smog on this one to get it registered. I need a smog certificate and it should be ready to go. Oh, I forgot to say, I made it to work. Haha! Car's reliable. Somewhat, I think. I don't know.